Hello, hello, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about what it's like when you start outgrowing things, or old parts of you. I mean, everything that I talk about is always energy related. And, you know, this these are some of my own stories. So last weekend, I went out for the night and I went with a friend, to I went out with a couple people to a show in San Francisco, and what? Show was fine, at the maybe about 10 minutes before the show ended. I'm one of those people where I don't want to get stuck. What does that mean? It means that when the show's ending and then there's that surge of people who are running out, I want to be able to get in my Uber and not be like, quadruple charge because there's a surge of people and I have to wait an hour to, get to my Uber. So 10 minutes before the show ended, I'm in the lobby uh, with the two people that I was with. And, I'm on my phone, dude's 3 minutes away. And this guy comes up to the girl that I was with and starts aggressively tries to like remove her, isolate her from her group. And just the energy was really, it was heavy. It was aggressive, it was predatory, and in real time, I'm like kind of getting upset because I'm like the people that I'm with, we're gonna pause for a second. I think sometimes for those of us who are sensitive and those of us who are intuitive, sometimes it can be frustrating because we think that everyone else can pick up and see what it is that we are tuning into. And it's important that we remind ourselves that that's not always the case. And sometimes they may be picking up on it, but they also don't know what it is. They haven't quite uh, mastered the ability to trust what it is that they're picking up on. Um, and I'm like watching this play out right in front of me, and I'm like, why aren't you guys doing anything? So, me going into, you know, um, an assertive role. So I'm like, okay, you have two choices, and these are all happening really quick. I can be that person that gets between and, like, matches this guy's energy, or I can go find someone else to go deal with him. And I'm at the place now where I'm using my tools a lot better than maybe that I did in the past. So I'm like, cool, let me not get my hands dirty. So I go around the corner and I find a couple workers and I'm like, "Hey, I need you to call security. This is what's going on. This is not okay. The show's about to end and this guy is going to get lost in the crowd and people need to be aware of his presence." And this girl, this she's listening to what I'm saying, and then this guy that's next to her, like he hears me saying I need you to call security, so he starts listening in, and she goes, "Oh, that guy? Yeah, he was doing that to girls over here." And in my head, I'm like, if you're watching this, why wouldn't you say something? Like, but it's neither here nor there. They go grab security, and because all of this is happening in 3 minutes, less than, and by the time, I see security and they're talking to the workers are basically giving him the download of what's happening. I make eye contact with security and I nod like, yeah, that's a problem. We bounce out. And the girl that I was with, she what did she say? She goes, "Of course I would find, the guy that is like the predator." And it's, what I said is that, it's not a personal thing because they're not picky. They will go from girl to girl to girl, or let me rephrase that, person to person to person until they find that one, And you just have to have boundaries and just, nope, like I'm not going to let some stranger come into my space and dictate what it is that we're doing. And you have to find a way to, work with that, if yeah. So I'm having to do like real life, lessons in real time. So that was an interesting one. We go back to the hotel. Um, we had like an hour to kill before we went to like the after party, and we go to the after party, and I think that I had such an amazing time in my 20s that sometimes I like to go back and tap into that same energy for a night just to have a release. It's familiar, it's fun. I enjoy the adventure. Um, but sometimes I have to remind myself that I'm not that same person that I was then. And yeah, I'm going back to an old place, but I'm also not the old Darius. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with at some point in time, because what happens when we outgrow old places? And while I did enjoy myself for, the short period of time that I was there, I'm all, and at the end, there's another story where, I'm reading energy, and I am one of those people that I don't really go out and make friends. I'm super sensitive that I'm just wary of people that I'm talking to. I don't go out to, meet people to hook up. I don't know what to say to strangers sometimes, and I'm just wary of their energy. So I can enjoy the environment and I can just be by myself and people watching and can be perfectly content. And sometimes when you're by yourself, sometimes people come into your space. And there was this girl who, I was sitting on this speaker, like just on the dance floor, and just enjoying myself. And this girl comes in front of me and she's like looking me dead in the eye. And, what do you do when someone comes right in front of your space and they're like, I don't know, a foot in front of your face and just staring at you? So I, try to break the ice and I'm like, are you having a good time? And I don't know what she heard, but she goes, I'm sorry, I'm married. And, for me, I was just kind of like, girl, like, so again, trying to, shift the energy. And I'm like, okay, are you having fun though? And things shift. I know that she was inebriated, but, you know, at this point, the girl that I was with, she comes back, after, I guess doing a lap around, and she comes back and she's sitting next to me and she's overhearing this girl being like, she's like, I'm just scared. And I'm like, you know, is everything okay? You know? And she's like, proceeds to tell me how she almost got raped the night before, and this Uber driver kept trying to get her in the front seat, and she's like, I just kept saying, I just want to go home, I'm scared. And I'm the girl next to me is just kind of like, what the fuck? And I'm just kind of like, god damn it, you know what I mean? So, and then I look down and I notice that she's barefoot in the club. And you know uh, so many things. Her energy is just, she's a mess. And and what, there are people, I had to assess the situation real quick. She's not in any immediate danger. There's no one who is, you know um aggressively coming for her. But the reality is that sometimes you can't save, well, not sometimes, the reality is that you can't save people from themselves. And I don't know what was going on in her world, but there's nothing that I could have done to do anything. But I don't know what she was looking for, but she was It was a lot. So at that moment in time, I'm like, she's like, maybe I should go home. And I was like, yeah, maybe you should. Like, if that's where you feel safe, maybe being intoxicated alone and barefoot in the club is not the way to be. But. And I looked at, the girl that I was with and I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And the whole, that was it. I go back to the hotel, went home the next day and I was processing. And while I did enjoy myself, I was reminded that, the experience doesn't hit the same as it used to, and that's okay. It was fun for a night. Um, I do find it a little bit more exhausting. I have the energy release. It takes a minute for me to rebound off of that. And I think I was processing with my sister and I was talking I was like, when I hang out with one of my girlfriends, I might wake up at 7 in the morning and we might be, gardening and plant shopping, at 8 a.m. But I am more, energized and fulfilled with those experiences now than going out and, clubbing, and at least in those situations, I don't feel like I'm dealing with um predatory or messy behavior with stranger, and it's now I'm like having to be a little bit more cognizant of being like, that kind of comes with the territory. You go out um to the nightlife and you will come across these people. And I think it was a great learning experience. There were some great lessons. I was able to witness some growth in real time where I no longer have to match energy. I can be strategic and how to, take control of a situation without necessarily having to get my hands dirty. And also knowing how to, not, I can observe but not feel. And yeah, and then on the aftermath of just being like, the situations that we put ourselves in can sometimes they will drain us, depending on uh what type of situations that they are. And as we get older, sometimes we find things that are more fulfilling, and you have to recognize that, you know? So I hope that some of these connections, it's kind of a roundabout way, but I do better explaining real situations. So I hope that was interesting, to be continued. We'll talk again. Have a good day. Bye.